Little update on the Mini MGT. You can see I've got the rear end now and the front end and the transmission in, and if I just lift it up you can see I've got the skid plates on now as well. So we're almost there. Did have some issues scraping all of the paint off the bottom. Unfortunately, some bits harder to get off than others, but we're definitely getting there. The rear shocks have got no shock oil in them. One of the front ones hasn't got any shock oil in it, so the shocks, they're damped, and these are just pretty bouncy. Literally, like, two of them are half full and the other two are empty. That's not what I put in, that's just from what was in there already. We've replaced a lot of the screws with cap heads. Got some stainless steel screws on there as well, button heads on the outside as well. The transmission seems to be all good so far, and I also put some new hex head screws on all of the skid plates because half the Phillips head ones are missing anyway. So I got all new screws there. Yeah, you can see we've still got a mixture on the bottom. Just a bit of a shame. So I need to order some screws. Basically, I need to order some shock oil. Just making a list of other bits I need to order for it. And still got the engine sort out. Still need to test all the electronics. Tank still got fuel in. We're getting there with the wheels. It just comes off with alcohol, that horrible gold paint. Now I'm going to dye them. Oh yeah, the other thing is as well with the new chassis, the rear end of the chassis was already bent. So basically it was folded down at this end here. So that end had been pushed down a bit so the gearbox wasn't lining up. So I just got a big piece of aluminium, put it on the top here, put another flat bit on the bottom, basically just smacked them together to straighten it out. So I don't know why that was, because obviously this is a brand new chassis, so I don't know whether someone dropped it while it was in the packet, but it's pretty straight now anyway. So yeah, I'll put the handle on as well so I can actually pick it up more easily. Still got the gear cover to put on. So we've made a bit of progress. It's starting to look like a truck again now. Managed to find some M3 by 30mm cap head bolts. So I've taken the Phillips head screws out. I'm just replacing them now. I've already done the front shock tower, or the rear one rather. I'm just doing the front one now. So you can see they are actually a little bit longer, so the old ones must be like 27.5 or some weird size, but I don't think they're going to interfere with anything. So yeah, it should be fine with these 30mm cap heads on. So they're going in. So I've now got to a stage where the actual chassis is almost completely back together in terms of the front and rear end and the gearbox. I haven't done any of the linkages or the electronics yet, but I'm going to save those till last. So I'm going to do the engine next. First thing I'm going to do is take off the exhaust, replace that coupler there, and have a look at this air filter as well and see what we've got. Got the exhaust off here and you can see the exhaust gasket is ripped. Other than that, it looks to be okay. Well, as okay as this thing can be. Doesn't look very nice in there, you can't really see on camera, but that's weird. You can kind of see the chamber actually goes up into this area. I'm guessing it goes back down that way. So that bit is like wedge shaped, going down towards that way. as mentioned before, that's ripped just there, and this bit looks okay, but I've already got a replacement for that bit, so obviously I'm going to put a new one of those on and a new exhaust gasket. You can also see inside of the engine there, it looks pretty tidy in there. I'll have to sort out this ghetto pull start mounting system. Guess that's just going to get a load of dirt in, so that's no good. But the clutch bell bearings seem to be pretty good. If I can get it off the towel. The air filter here is a cheap single stage Chinesium air filter. The foam is a decent thickness, but there's only one foam, and it hasn't really got very much surface area. Once it's all closed up, it's pretty small really, and these holes on the inside as well, quite restrictive, and it's also not really the right size. You can see here it's actually bigger than the carburetor. Obviously it's metal, so it doesn't go on, so it's got this little rubber bit going from there to there, which isn't the best, so I'm going to get a proper air filter from it also. Look how big that idle gap is. This thing must have been idling at like half throttle. That's fully closed. It's insane. It's like at least quarter throttle idle. Crazy. Got the engine cleaned up a little bit. It's still not perfect, nowhere near, but it is a little bit cleaner now. It's not got an exhaust gasket on still. Just put the head back on. Just put some polish on the top of it. You can see it's now shiny, although it's kind of pointless because it's still pretty dirty inside, but I've cleaned out the bits of metal and all that crap there which was in the top. Not really checked out this pull start yet, but it's pretty dodgy. I've also made the exhaust slightly shinier because obviously that'll help, especially that in there. So I just need to get these last few marks off here, then we should be good to go. So I'm going to check out all of these servos that came in my Team Associated Mini MGT. So I've got the hump pack in there which is charged up, and that is plugged into the switch which is down there, which is plugged into the bind plug bit of my FlySky GT5 receiver. And then we've got the steering in channel 1, the throttle in channel 2, and the reverse in channel 4, which is the same setup I have on my Habao Hyper MT. Servos, we've got this e-tronics ET2049, and that's metal geared. And then we've got two standard S1903 servos. And there's another one down there as well for the reverse. So, switch is just over here. I don't know why it's so far in. There we go, that is on. Turn the radio on. I've already bound it up so you can see the model name, Mini MGT. And yeah, let's just play around. So that's forwards, that's the throttle servo, which seems to be working well. Now how strong it is another matter, we'll have to see. So you can see how fast it is. Not particularly. Channel 4 is this 3-position switch just underneath here. So this one here. So that should be forwards or reverse, and then that's forwards or reverse. Unfortunately this gearbox doesn't allow you to go into neutral really, so I'll probably skip the middle step, and then we just need to test the steering as well, which is going to be underneath here. bit slow to react, but it seems to be working. Very slow to react. Maybe the hum pack's running out of charge a bit. So there we go. All the electronics seem to work alright. Just need to set the fail-safe, but I'll do that once it's in the car, so I can set the EPA for the throttle and the brakes, and for the steering and the reverse as well. So let's put all the electronics back on the chassis.